Hey everybody, it's Jason here again, and we are just having a conversation in the other room. We're here at the office like 9 o'clock at night, putting together chairs and computer desks and everything else. And we needed a little bit of help, so we brought in one of the newer members of our management team that's still kind of on trial basis. He's been earning his stripes and learning the ropes, and that's Jordan Deaton. And his story is pretty compelling, and it's compelling because one of the questions I get asked the most, and I've written articles about it, and we addressed it in the Executives in Old Business podcast that I did, was how do I get into esports? Like, I want to be involved. I see how exciting this is. I see all this action around the world, but how do I get involved? Like, I live in the middle of a forest in wherever. How can I start? How can I crack the surface? And Jordan has a really interesting story because he was living, in a place that didn't have any esports around it. He didn't have any esports in his past. He didn't have any connections in the community. He started from scratch, and through some grit and determination, he's probably on his way to a full-time position with compLexity, doing the business of esports. I find his story pretty compelling, and I hope you do too. So I'll let Jordan Deaton take it from here.
Yeah, so as you said, I grew up kind of in the middle of nowhere in a way. It's a small town in North Carolina, and I had no connection or even knowledge that esports existed. I grew up playing a bunch of different sports, very competitive guy, but kind of got injured playing sports in high school. And then when I went to college, I had all these competitive juices, but I couldn't really play anymore. And I actually got introduced to League of Legends, and it kind of blew my mind that this existed. I'd kind of heard about esports in the fringe, but that's just not something that happens really in North Carolina, much less the town that I come from with like 1,000 people in it and like 4 stoplights. I was just enthralled, and I immediately began just trying to find out everything I could about it. I fell in love with the scene, wanted to learn more. I was consuming way more content than I should have been, more than I was studying my books or anything like that. And I began thinking, no, this is something that I would love to get into. But again, I had no knowledge of how I could do that, as you said. So I began looking some stuff. I actually listened to that Executives podcast. I clearly remember sipping a coffee at my apartment one day. And I began trying to do, just reaching out a little bit, applying to some jobs as my graduation was coming up, but nothing was really coming through. So I began to kind of move on with my life. I was doing a little bit of the whole internship thing, and I was working with AmeriCorps actually. And then all of a sudden, a couple years down the road, there's an E-League major in Atlanta. And Atlanta's a little bit far away from North Carolina, but I was like, I gotta give this a chance. And so I talked to a mentor of mine, and they were like, you should at least try to go down and at least try to meet somebody. And I was like, well, you know what, I'll do that. And so I asked for a Christmas help to get down there, and I actually got a ticket to the major. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go.
So you got a ticket to the major for Christmas.
Yes.
And you're going to pack your car and you're going to drive to Atlanta.
I'm going to pack my car. I'm going to drive to Atlanta. I decide I'm going to print out like 30 resumes, and I'm just going to go down with a folder full of resumes, and anybody who would take a resume or even put eyes on it and say, you know what, maybe you should word this a little bit different. That was going to be my plan. I knew I was coming up on the end of my AmeriCorps term, and this is what I wanted to do, and now's the chance to go for this.
Sure.
Everything.
So what happened the night before you left? The day before you left?
Day before I left, I am driving to work, and I'm so excited. I'm thinking about I'm going to go down to Atlanta tomorrow. This is going to be amazing. That I pull out a little bit early and get in a car wreck and total my car. And so I'm like, well, I'm super depressed. This is over. The esports dream is dead. But my mentor, she said, you know what, you got to try to do it. So I buy a red-eye ticket on a train from Cary, and I Lord, that was terrible.
You had a layover?
Had a 6-hour layover.
6-hour layover
in
a train station?
In a train/bus station with one TV at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I ended up making it down there. I'm enjoying just the major, just Atlanta in general. But I'm really trying to find people. And I end up talking to Moses. But I wasn't able to bring my bag with the resumes that day. It was the Saturday of the major. There was just a miscommunication and I wasn't able to bring it. So I'm like, hey, I will meet you tomorrow after the first desk segment, after the first game. I will come and meet you. I'll give you a resume. He's like, yeah, man, totally. So Sunday comes and I go to meet him and he kind of just blows me off. He walks away. Like, there's tons of stuff
such a good guy. I'm sure he was super busy.
There's, I think he was talking to a producer.
They work so hard at those events.
They do. But
so who do you find next? I like this one.
So Richard Lewis is actually, he hangs back to sign some autographs and stuff. And I'm the last person I walk up to him and I say, I don't want another autograph, sir. Actually, I just want you to see, and I hand my resume. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to get some eyes on it. I'm interested. I want to try to get here. I've reached out in the past to a bunch of different people. I don't know what to do anymore. Can you take a look at it? And he looks it over a little bit and then he goes, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to hand it out to everybody. I'll put it on file here at Ely. And I'm just like mind blown. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't even know what to do. I didn't know anything. So I'm just like, man, Richard Lewis is an awesome guy. I send out this tweet. I tag him in it. Just being like, he took a folder. Like, that's awesome. This has made the trip worth it. He actually retweets it, and I think it gets seen by it gets retweeted like thousands of times. It blows up, and I see you threw a like.
I liked Richard's tweet, right?
You liked the Richard's retweet of my tweet, and I saw that, and
I respected the hustle. I'm like, this guy's like handing out resumes. He's getting after it. So I definitely like that.
So I see you're like, I'm actually hopping on a train to come back home like in 3 hours. And so I DM you and I'm just like, hey, I don't have a laptop right now. Obviously you can't take a paper resume, but can I send it to you when I get back home tomorrow morning? And you're like, sure. I get back, I send it to you. And you put some eyes on it, and then you message me back and you say, hey, I just want to pass this on to Kyle. Just have him put some eyes on it. And so I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Well, a couple weeks go by, and I actually get a message, and it's just like, it was from Kyle, and Kyle says, hey, we'd like to do just a Skype interview with you, just to get to know you, or maybe try to pass this out to a couple other people. Just know what you're looking for. Yeah. And so I do this interview. I'm super nervous. I remember it was at night. I show up in like super dressed up and everything for this Skype interview. And then Andrew, or Amai is another person on the management team. He was also there. Neither of them had their camera on. Meanwhile, I have my camera sitting like all straight and postured like this. And we do this interview. We get to know each other. I think it went really well. I assume since I'm here now, it probably went well. Yeah. And they leave and say, well, thanks for doing this. We'll kind of get back in touch with you. I think a month of that goes by and I'm like, oh, I'm super depressed month. Obviously something happened. It's okay. I'm going to move on. And then Kyle hits me up and says, hey, we were wondering if you'd like to do this little task. There's no pay in it, but would you like to do it? And I'm like, 10 times over, 100 times over, 1,000 times over, yes, please, whatever you have, send it to me. And I started doing little things here or there. I think I was looking at some social media numbers and Wikipedia pages or something like that to see some information as my first task. And I had this opportunity and I was like, I'm going to take this and do whatever I can. So I
gave it 110% when you're given the chance.
110%. I was like, okay, here, it's done. I know it's a little bit early, but what can I do next? Give me something, please.
And you weren't like, okay, what's this pay? What's that pay? You were more involved in getting your foot in the door and showing your passion and working your tail off to kind of to get started, to get some footing under you.
Well, exactly. This was my passion. This is what I loved, and even if I wasn't going to make money, just the experience and being able to put on my resume, I worked a little bit with compLexity Gaming, was going to be absolutely amazing. And I was just so excited, and so I'm just trying to do whatever I can, just help out in any way that I can, and you know, just kind of grows from there. I get handed a little bit more responsibility, a few more tasks and everything like that. And
you've got a couple raises now, and you're on salary and possibly coming on with this full time.
9 months down the road, I am here in Texas, enjoying being here, working our tails off and loving every second of it. And I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity.
Man, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
What a story of hustle. What a story of grit. If you're passionate about something in life, don't give up. Be humble and keep after people. There are good people out there that'll give you a chance, and then bust your butt and do your best. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for watching. We'd be honored if you'd give us a like and even subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again on our next video.